You know, the Bible tells this incredible story, but it's not just about one humanity. It's really a tale of two. There's the story of everyone being in Adam, and then there's this entirely new story of being in Christ. Today, we're diving into the monumental shift between these two realities, a transition that completely rewired everything about humanity's relationship with God.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get a handle on this tale of two humanities. Then, we'll rewind a bit to look at the age of the law, before we get to the main event, the arrival of the last Adam. After that, we'll explore the incredible shift from law to grace. And finally, we'll see what this new reality actually means for us today. All right, let's jump right into part one, a tale of two humanities. This is really the foundational concept that sets the stage for everything else. This slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the reality in Adam. The source defines this state by sin, which leads to death and ultimately separation from God. But then look at the other side. Being in Christ flips the script completely. It's a whole new reality defined by grace, which brings life and this incredible union with God. It's a total reversal. And the Apostle Paul, who wrote a huge chunk of the New Testament, just nails it right here. He basically presents Adam and Christ as two representatives, two starting points for all of humanity. Adam's one act of disobedience kind of set the course for that first humanity, while Christ's one act of obedience paved the way for a brand new one. Now, here's what's really fascinating. The source material is clear that this state in Adam was never, ever meant to be the final chapter. Think of it more like a temporary phase, a time defined by our own limits, our mortality, and all of our striving, all while waiting for a promised solution. And that solution, that resolution, has a name: the last Adam. This title for Christ is so important. You see, the first Adam was a living being, but the last Adam, he's a life-giving spirit. So he didn't come to just patch up the old system. He came to kickstart something completely new. Okay, so if the last Adam brought in something new, what was he replacing? Well, that brings us to our second section, the age of the law. This was the system, also called the Old Covenant, that defined how people related to God before Christ showed up. Wow, this is such a raw and powerful insight from Paul. The law was good, right? It was meant to be a roadmap to life, but in reality, it did the exact opposite. It ended up being like a giant spotlight, just highlighting the massive gap between God's perfection and our inability to ever measure up. So instead of bringing life, it just exposed the real power of sin. And this is the key takeaway. The Old Covenant basically had a built-in expiration date. The writer of Hebrews is super clear about it. The moment a new covenant was promised, the first one was already on its way out. It was always designed to be temporary. And this whole theological shift was stamped into history by a huge, dramatic event. When the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD, that was the definitive end of an era. I mean, the temple was the center of the entire sacrificial system required by the law. With it gone, the system it was built on was, quite literally, over. And that brings us to the ultimate turning point of the whole story, the arrival of the last Adam and the absolutely radical transformation he set in motion. According to the source, Christ's arrival did something that changed the fabric of the universe. He destroyed a barrier. A barrier that had defined humanity's existence for centuries was just gone, torn down permanently. So what was this barrier? And here's our answer straight from the text. The barrier was the law itself, that whole system of rules and regulations that Paul calls a dividing wall. And Christ, through what he did on the cross, didn't just punch a hole in the wall, he completely demolished the whole thing. And it's so critical to understand why he did it. The goal wasn't just to tear something old down. The purpose was to build something brand new. It was to take all the divided pieces and forge one single unified humanity finally reconciled to God. So what does this new creation even look like? That leads us straight into our fourth section, making sense of this unbelievable shift from a system of law to a new reality of grace. This is one of the most radical, mind-bending ideas in the entire story. Grace isn't just a patch to cover up sin. Paul says that wherever sin popped up, grace showed up in even greater, overwhelming force. It's not just a response to sin. It's a reigning power that didn't just cancel sin out, it completely swallowed it whole. So what does this mean? It means the whole nature of our relationship with God is flipped upside down.
Under the Old Covenant, it was all about striving, trying your best to obey all the rules. But under the New Covenant, it's about resting in the finished, completed work of Christ. The pressure is gone. The work is done. And this makes everything deeply personal. We're not just talking about some new, better set of rules. We're talking about a completely new identity. That old self, the one defined by striving and failure, is considered gone. And in its place is a new reality where Christ himself actually lives in and through us. And this is the mic drop moment. This is the breathtaking conclusion of it all. The final verdict is in. For anyone who is in Christ Jesus, the case is closed. That condemnation that came with the law, that came with sin, it's completely and totally gone.
Okay, so let's bring all of this home. What does this massive, history-changing shift mean for you and me right here, right now? What are the real-world implications of living in this new reality today?
Paul even calls it a mystery that's finally been revealed. This new humanity isn't just some status we claim. It's an internal, living, breathing reality. The very heart of this new covenant is Christ in you. And that's not just a nice thought. That's the actual source of all our hope. And this inner reality of Christ in you has real, practical, life-changing results. It means we can actually live free from fear, fully alive in God's love, constantly supplied by His grace, and we can finally know with total certainty that we are forever united with Him. The separation is over. And this might just be the most mind-blowing truth of them all. According to the source, our position in this new reality isn't something we're still working towards. It's something that is already accomplished. We have already been raised and seated with Christ. It's a done deal. And so that leaves us with one last powerful question to really chew on. If our true position is already secure, already seated with Christ in total victory, how does that radically change the way we face our fears, our challenges, and our day-to-day lives right here on Earth?